yin, such a beautiful, slow practice. And today that's all our intention is, just slow down and come deeper and deeper into your body. Oftentimes in yoga, in this world, we're constantly working on raising our energy up to the upper chakras. We're trying to find a transcendental experience. But today, our goal is to bring it down through the chakras, down to the root. And our question today, how much can I be in my body? How much can I embody this practice? In yin, it's easy to zone out with our minds and be anywhere but here. It's easy to go through our to-do list and stuff because we've got quite a bit of time in each pose. But our question today is, how much can I be in my body? How much can I breathe and feel the breaths? How much can I experience what's going on and constantly transition, helping myself get slightly deeper if I need that, backing off a little bit if that's what my body's asking for, and just being with this beautiful vessel that's carrying us through this life. And so that's our intention today. The first pose that we'll start off with today is just a nice child's pose. So this being our first one of the day, our back may or may not be ready for the deepest child pose with the thighs all the way together. So if you want to have knees a little bit wider, just play with coming all the way down and feel how your spine is doing today. I know the way that I sleep, it makes my back really stiff. And so the very first child pose of the morning tends to be the tightest. And so as we're sitting here breathing and relaxing, just be with the body. Play with how close, how wide, how narrow your knees are. Play with how much you can help the hips sink backwards. Your hands can be another place to play with. You can keep them planted right down by you. You can tuck them underneath, helping the shoulders to relax from some of that tension. Or you can even extend the arms all the way forward. So just find the best version for your body at this moment. And here we stay for a few moments, trying to be in our body. See if you can feel the breath inflating down right into the thighs. And then relaxing. How does it feel for the mind to be resting directly onto the earth? Our head represents our thoughts and how crazy and how much in our head we can become. So almost like in Harry Potter, when Dumbledore literally was able to pull thoughts out of his mind and drop them down in a jar. It's similar to that right now. Can we allow this connection of our forehead into the earth to let ourselves start draining out some of the constant chatter we have going on in our head? And in that way, we're able to come closer and closer to living right here in this very moment. How does your neck feel at this moment? Does it want to be stretched longer? We've been taking on poor posture the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks even, in our chairs. Maybe our head is really feeling that weight of, our neck is feeling that weight of the head as it has to carry it, weighing it all the way forward. We've got a few more breaths right here. What do you feel in your body right here? gently begin to slide the hands in close to the shoulder area. Press into your hands to help the torso lift. Our next pose in just a moment will be a child's pose, stretching our arms laterally to one side and the other. But I want to make sure that we have enough blood flowing into our legs. So I'd like us to rise up for just a moment in a nice downward facing dog. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips. This doesn't have to be the perfect shape. This is just a nice, slow, gentle chance to move through our bodies. While we give our legs a chance to stretch, get just a little bit of blood flow. Eventually gently dropping right back down onto the knees. Maybe knees stay wide, maybe they go a little bit more narrow, your choice. For this one, we do walk our hands all the way forward. And then I usually prop up onto my fingertips. My fingertips are like little spiders, and I'll start to spider crawl my fingers as far over to the left as I can reach. So just make this a gradual progression, starting to feel your right side body stretch. And when you feel like you've reached a good edge, I personally like to take the right hand on top of the left hand and then start to relax the head downward, either onto my arm or maybe onto the ground, depending on how far you got. And just feel that extremely deep side body stretch. Where do you feel it? Can you feel it down into the hip? Do you feel it all the way across the sides of the ribs? Do you feel it up to that right shoulder? Just be with the body. What is my experience? Know that this doesn't have to be completely static, even though we're holding the poses for a long time. So if you started off way too active and your body's getting tired, find a way to melt some of the effort down. And the elbows release just a little bit more to the earth. Sometimes I even need to back off just a little bit. So just continue to explore what is a good edge at this moment in my pose. How is your breath affected by being stretched over in this long shape? Where can you still breathe into? Let's try to remain with our body for 3 more slow breaths, the slowest we can possibly make them. That third breath comes to completion, walk yourself back up onto those spider fingertips. Gradually walk yourself through the center. When you get there through the center, make sure your hips are even on your feet. Pull your spine long for a moment, just experiencing that length. And then whenever you're ready to start working your way over to the right, we're going to make our way all the way onto that side as well. Same options, start to walk over as far as you can. At the end, I love to take that left hand on top of the right hand. At first, perhaps you're starting off with quite a bit of just lengthening, a little bit more of a work aspect, until eventually you're ready to just melt your muscles and release into the beautiful chance to open. Checking in with our body, where do we feel this side the very most? We feel it most through the hip, through the side ribs, through the shoulder. Just be with it, noticing what's going on. What is our experience? Are there any areas of your body that are trying to hold on to tension, even though it's not required, such as the head, neck, shoulder area? How deeply are you maintaining your connection with the breath? It's interesting how sometimes yin classes are the most intense classes of them all. So this is an invitation. Can I be with my breath when life becomes intense? That's the most helpful thing we can possibly do for this body. And here we're on those last 3 slow, deep breaths. Again, once you finish those, prop up onto your fingertips. Work your hands back evenly through the mat. Find a moment with length through the spine first. And then we give our legs a chance to stretch. Perhaps in your body, the place where you felt this last pose the deepest is right here in these hip flexors. That's a place where we tend to hold on to a lot of deep emotions, like trauma and anxiety, stresses. And so that deep compression, even though it's not comfortable, it can be very helpful ultimately with our release. So as we're ready, let's begin to take another downward facing dog again, getting the legs to stretch out. And the next pose will help us get into that psoas for a nice deep stretch. So from this down dog, begin to float the right leg up to the sky. Feel the leg stretch super long. And And then we step this right foot all the way forward to the top of the mat. Dropping the back knee down, we're in a good lunge shape. Make sure that as you're sinking the weight forward, the knee never goes quite past the toes. If that's happening, that's just an indication, okay, I need to scoot my foot just a little bit further forward. And from here, this pose is a dragon pose. Today, I'm going to let you have several different options to play with, depending on what your body is asking for the most. Some of us will be happy just keeping the hands planted and working the hips forward. That's a great shape. Some of us might take all or part of the time coming up to a high dragon pose, hands on the knee, and then continue to sink the hips forward. This one's one of the most intense for the psoas area. And some of us, at the beginning or all the way closer to the end when it's getting intense, some of us might bring both hands to the inside of the foot, coming further into the elbows or like one or both elbow. So we've got quite a bit of time here on this side before we switch. So go back and forth, play with these poses. The biggest thing that we're maintaining is hips sinking forward, no matter where the arms and the torso go. So breathe into the body. What would be the most helpful at this moment of the stretch? And try to breathe and relax into that shape. A little trick, if you're on a surface where the floor is a little bit harder and this knee is starting to have issues, one little trick that I'll sometimes recommend is just take extra mat, fold it over and put it right under your knee. So if that's your experience, feel free to play with it. And just keep on relaxing into the body. At this point in the stretch, does it want to evolve to a slightly different shape? Are you still happy right where you started? It's an invitation not to ignore the intensity, but to be right there with it. We're never pushing it too far. There are certain words that we never want to hear in yoga. Words like throbbing pain, shooting pain, stabbing pains. Any of those types of sensations are indicators that you've gone too far, you're off the edge. But as long as it's just deep, that's an invitation to explore with it. What does the deepness want to teach me? It's kind of like as people began to develop equipment to dive deeper into the ocean, it became much more sophisticated. It became much more intense, but there's new mysteries that began to reveal themselves. So what mysteries does our body still have for us to discover? Let's take our last deep breath on this side. With that exhale, take all the time you need to begin taking this right leg back underneath you. Once again, heading into a nice downward facing dog shape. Letting any wiggles that are most helpful be in our body. That side feels complete. We take the second side, left leg floating all the way up, reach it high. Begin to step that left foot all the way forward in between hands. The back knee drops down, and this is the place where we begin to play. So we start off maybe just with one hand on each side of the thigh. Sinking hips forward, make sure the knee never goes past the toes. From here, start to explore any sorts of mysteries and treasures on this side. Maybe coming up for a little while, maybe already dropping downward. What does your body, what does your map tell you would be the most useful? Does your shape wish to change at this point? Does it wish to evolve deeper? Does stillness give you the most benefit? Play around with any other options here with this dragon. Asking one more time, is there any more depth our body would wish to explore? For these last couple of breaths, keep the breath flowing deeply in and out. Last slow deep breath into the body. Nice relaxed exhale. And take all the time you need. Sending the hips back, bringing this leg all the way back. Just a few breaths this time with the down dog, lifting up super high. And feel how even the down dog shape is evolving for us. Each down dog today is not the same as the previous one because we're not the same. We've shifted, we've explored. We're different people. So eventually we'll lower down onto our knees and all the way down onto our bellies to start playing with some back bending. The first place where we start is a nice Sphinx pose, the elbows right underneath our shoulders. And in a yin class, you don't have to be as rigid as you are in some of the other classes. Usually in Sphinx, we work on lengthening the torso, drawing the heart forward and through. And while you absolutely can be right there, you could also simply collapse the muscles until it's just the skeleton holding you up, even letting the head completely drop down. In yin yoga, this is an absolutely fine place to be. So my invitation for this first minute or so of this back bend, let's just explore through these types of variations of Sphinx pose. Eventually, those of us who want to evolve the pose deeper, I will begin to give you options to go deeper, those that want that extra back stretch. But it's not required. This whole time you can just be collapsed here, letting the spine receive the shape of the back bend without having to require the muscular effort. Welcome to stay exactly where we've just found. Or if you'd like to increase the angle on the back, we've got some options. An option to make sphinx deeper is simply drag the hands toward you and let the heart get drawn forward and through. For those of us that want to increase the shape even more into a seal shape, you can bring your hands a little bit wider than the mat off to each side, and so that you're in a slightly increased angle with the rest of your spine. Once again, head can be traveling in the same angle of the vertebrae, or head could be completely relaxed down, just receiving this increased angle. If hands at any point want to walk deeper, that's fine, but pay attention to the low back. We're not trying to crunch the vertebrae together. We're not trying to jam the lumbar spine together. Even though we have the mobility for it, that doesn't mean that that's what the body wants. So finding the perfect back bend shape. We're in our body breathing and receiving this opening position. And just take a brief moment to notice too, the first several poses might have made our psoas scream at us. And so notice now that we've moved onto a different section of the body for this moment, notice how the psoas isn't saying anything at all. And that's how we can tell that our body its only goal is to keep it safe. So as long as we work within our parameters, we work within our edges, it's okay to explore those boundaries. To ask our body, can I be in an intense place with calmness? Interestingly, the yoga word for the poses that we do is actually translated to seat. So can I make any pose as comfortable as I am sitting down? So whatever type of a seat this is for you right now, let's take 3 more breaths in this back bend. And as we gently begin to release out of the arch, we take just a brief recovery moment to transition back into child pose. Help our spine and our body to feel how different we are now. When you go on an adventure, like I'm imagining the Lord of the Rings, leaving the Shire, when you're going on an adventure, you can't return back the same person. So feel that in our body right now. I went to an adventure, I'm coming back to the Shire right here, and I'm different, I'm changed. My psoas doesn't feel the same. My vertebrae don't feel the same. This is where my new reality is right here. And so I'm breathing into it and being with my body. Shape is going to be swan. That's the yin word for it. Normally in yoga classes we call this pigeon pose. My personal favorite way to get into pigeon is through a downward facing dog. So I lift my hips up high for the brief moment, let the right leg float. And when you bring that right leg under and through, set the side of the knee down, the side of the shin down. The right knee is off to the right. And as we set the back knee down, tucking those toes help to scoot that back leg as far back as it will possibly travel. And this brings our pelvis closer to the ground. Know that we never want to be completely resting all the way onto the right hip, and we never want to be collapsing onto the left hip. Our sacrum is level. We could balance a serving tray on it. And from that placement, we begin to lower perhaps down to hands, maybe all the way to elbows. Maybe you can stack the palms and rest the forehead down. We're bringing our experience right back into that deep hip area. So what is the story like right now? How can we breathe and be with our body? Checking in with the breath. Do you currently have shallow breathing, or is the belly breath happening, breathing all the way down into the diaphragm? One more huge inhale. Slow exhale. And then we gradually work our hands back onto the earth. We swing these right toes inward so that we're coming to a nice kneeling shape. And from kneeling, we're going to take huge hip circles. So the hips trace clockwise, all the way to one side, around, back, and up, and then immediately go counterclockwise. Think of the hips being that clock face. Can you make the entire circle happen? Trying to circle all the way through, even the tight areas. So take one more circle clockwise and one more counter. Now we come back up to the down dog so that we can transition to the second side. So lift, tuck the toes, lift the hips, start to float the left leg all the way up. And slide the shin under and through. Resting the back knee down, we start to use those toes to scoot that leg as far back as it'll go. And when we can't go any further, we check in with the sacrum. Is it level? Never dropping onto one side or the other, and lowering down onto elbows. Always know if the knee, if it's a little bit too intense, tuck the toes in a little bit closer. That'll make it less intense. And begin to play with what depth you can release into for this pose. Maybe we're on elbows. Maybe elbows go wider and you can rest the head down. Just be with the body. once again, checking in with the breath. Is our breath right here shallow or full? What types of emotions are coming up for us right here? Deep hip openers like this tend to be poses that people either love or they hate. And if they hate it, oftentimes it's because it's just so extremely intense right there in those deep hip muscles. So can you be with it? Can you send breath? We can't physically breathe our lungs into the hip, but imagine you could send some blood to send some fresh oxygen right to those areas that are experiencing it. And be kind with any emotions that come up, any emotions of anger, of guilt, of resentment. Breathe into that, treating it like the gift that it is. A gift that we no longer have to remain with those tight emotions in our body. Again, it's shifted from our experience. We've got 2 more breaths. Make them deep and full, making the very most out of our time together. And then once again, it's a very slow process coming up onto the hands. Start to swivel these left toes closer to the midline of the mat. And then slide both knees together, taking some more huge hip circles, clockwise and counterclockwise. Trying to find even a greater radius than last time. Sometimes that means we need to go just slightly slower so we can really be with that extra millimeter. Exhale when the hips start to circle back away from the head. Inhale, coming back up toward the top of the mat. Take 1 more cycle left and 1 more cycle right. And from here we come all the way down to a seated place. Our legs starting to stretch wide. This does not have to be 100% of our maximum. Maybe 75, 80% is fine. If you come into this shape and you feel your hips pulling you back, you've got a few options. One option is to keep your hands behind you and just stay in a nice tall lifted spot with the support of your hands. Another option, put a prop like blocks or books right under your hips to increase that elevation. And then the other option, just keep your knees a little bit bent so that you can start from the straight upright spine. If you can stay upright and start to tilt forward, you're welcome to begin exploring there. Take a slow journey forward. We don't have to just force our way all the way there, but rather start off with the hands planting. Start to melt the elbows closer to the ground. If the elbows begin to touch, maybe the fingers start to walk just a little bit further. And continue to be with the body in this slow, progressive relaxation down into a beautiful, deep pose. Pay attention to the toes. We're not letting the toes fall inward or outward. They're staying directly upward. That's what helps us to stretch the deepest muscles, the muscles that actually need to be stretched in this. If we sacrifice the shape, we're stretching through muscles that are already loose and open and don't need to display so much. Continue to melt, continue to breathe, and continuously scan through the body. What am I experiencing? Is this a good stretch? Has this become too easy and I need to explore deeper? Am I deep enough? And know that in yin classes, the way that you are in one moment will change because the muscles don't take very long to stretch at all. 30, 45 seconds and they're already good. And so then we can begin to explore deeper into the fascia, into the tendons, helping to increase our overall circulation and our deeper type of flexibility. I like to use my inhales to help me lengthen the spine. And with the exhales, I ask, is there a little bit more space available? And just continue to explore with there. And sometimes you need to pause right where you're at for several breaths. And then you can ask again, inhale, length, exhale, release. Be with the body, 3 more deep, beautiful breaths. After that 3rd breath, it's a very slow return journey. We don't just jerk our way back up after such tremendous depth that we discovered. When we return to up, pick up the knees and just let there be some wiggling in the knees. Each of the legs having a chance to just loosen up. From there, slide this left shin in, bringing it right in front of you. The right shin slides directly on top. Double pigeon pose or fire log pose, whatever you call it. And from here, there's a new place in the hips and in the glutes that's willing to be discovered. Keep both feet slightly flexed so we don't collapse through the ankles. And then begin to travel forward for a moment. For some people, hamstrings are the intense stretches. So poses like the last one would be so hard. And for other people, it's the hips. So this one might be the difficult one. Know that if your hips are not able to be all the way on the ground with those sitting bones, that's okay. Just slip this leg in front. We do want sitting bones down to the earth. From here, continue to relax. If you've come pretty far and the forehead cannot quite rest on the ground, sometimes I'll make little towers, creating 2 fists. It's something nice for my forehead to be resting down onto. This makes sure that I'm not just forcing my neck to do a lot more work than is required here. Another huge breath into the body. A beautiful exhale. And then resting the hands down, start to walk ourselves back up to sit. We take a brief recovery pose through a forward fold. So both legs extend out in front of you. Feel how it takes a moment for the muscles to get available to that spot. And then we inhale, reaching with the spine up, spine is straight. Exhale, relax forward. What is our body telling us at this moment? When we're ready to gently rise, we switch the sides out. Right shin comes under, left shin goes over. Straighten the spine up, flex the feet just slightly. And then we begin to walk our way forward. Finding this side. Is there a story this side has for us? Can we be with it? Sometimes left and right stories are different, and that's okay. But can we be present with it, learning what this side needs from us, how we can best support it? Checking in with the breath. Is it shallow or is it full? The way I think about it, the more oxygen I can feed to my body, the healthier I allow my cells to be. So if health, wellness, vitality, anti-aging, if these are my goals, then really I should be starting with the breath. How much can I keep my breath flowing deep and full all throughout the day? So let's try to be very present with our breath as we take these next 3 huge cycles. Be with the inhale, be with the exhale. Start to float back up. One more chance for both legs to stretch out long in front of us. Taking a beautiful inhale, floating the arms. Exhale, release forward. Gently rising back up. We make our way onto our backs. Take it slow and gentle, using the core just a bit. And once we're all the way down, we're going to take one last twist. If you want the more gentle twist, take both knees into the chest right now. If you want a slightly deeper twist, take just the right knee into the chest. And either way, begin to twist one or both knees to the left. Making sure right shoulder stays completely on the earth. Right arm opening out to the right, gaze going over the right. We're here just a few breaths as a beautiful recovery, a beautiful last gift to our body. So be with the body, relaxing into it. Start to return the hip back down. If you're doing just one leg, slide the right leg down, bringing left knee in. And then we send one or both knees to the right. Keeping left shoulder down, extending left fingers to left, gazing to the left. Letting the hips return back down. We allow both legs to lengthen long if that's the best Shavasana for us today. Any other versions are welcome if that's what your body is asking for. And so as we're laying here, let's begin to relax into our body very deeply. Almost like one of those lasers on a scanner. The laser is traveling up our body, helping us scan through the body. And if we begin to discover tension in our scan, take an extra breath, sending oxygen to that area, telling it, I give you permission to relax. Starting off with the very tips of our toes, scanning up the feet, up the ankles, up the calves, the knees, the thighs, the hips, the belly and chest, the hands and arms, the shoulders, the throat, the jaw, the cheeks, the temples, all the way up to the crown of the head. Returning back to the tongue, making sure that's relaxing away from the roof of the mouth. Checking in with the inner and outer corners of the eyes. There's no compression, no tension, no contraction there. Taking deep breaths in and out of the body. We remain with our body for this beautiful final few minutes of relaxation. Begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. Introducing little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching the body out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually rolling over to a nice fetal position on one side. Stacking one hip on top of the other. And take 2 or 3 more good, beautiful deep breaths into your body until you're ready to rise up to a comfortable seated pose. As we begin to rise up, we join our hands together in front of our heart. Looking inward to our body, we tell our body, thank you. Thank you for joining me, taking me through this practice. Thank you, body, for taking me through my entire life. Thank you for putting up with me, even though I don't always make the healthiest decisions for my body. Thank you for being strong and resilient, for having a good, strong immune system, for keeping me healthy, for forgiving me when I make mistakes. Thank you for being my friend, body. And with this type of appreciation and gratitude, and this commitment to listen to our body a little bit better, with this to help lead us forward, let's wrap up with the sound of Om. Inhaling now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste. And I know there's a couple of you who want to connect, so we're welcome to stay on as long as we want to chat or whatever.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Whitney.
So welcome.
Thank you so much. That was great.
My pleasure. Absolutely. You're welcome. And Joshua and Ed, if you guys want to connect, I'm going to stop the recording, so you guys are welcome to share